Hey, shout out, folks. It's Bob the Old Rucker, and we have another great show for you today. All right, happy Friday, and whoa, time flies. As I sit here in my office staring out at the forest and clear, sunny, and frigid day, I'm thinking, wow, we're already into the third week of the new year. So how's the new year going for you? Have you busted that New Year diet yet? Skipped a day at the gym? Stopped this or started that? Resolutions come and go. Plans change. Decisions don't. Take the Redbeard Challenge and let us know how it's going for you. Hit the link in the show notes. We'll run this challenge through January, and if you let us know how it's working for you or worked for you, we'll share it on a future episode. And hey, Redbeard and I thank you for listening to the show and your great feedback. Shout out to Duke for the humorous remarks. Yes, we are streaming, and that be on Spotify and Apple. And folks, if we're not listed on your favorite streaming service, let us know and Redbeard will work his magic. And shout out to Penny, Annie, and Brian. Love the feedback and thanks for the kind words. And shout out to Anonymous for your kind words to Diane for her missives. I have passed that along. Folks, you can text us at 501-613-8915 or email us at team@shoutoutfromthepit.com or reach us via the contact tab at shoutoutfromthepit.com. And the email and phone number is also on the website. All right, so keep sending those suggestions and kind words. There's nothing wrong with stroking my tiny ego. Redbeard just appreciates it. He doesn't really have an ego. He, Diane, Mandy, and Team Jeremy, they're the ones that keep me in check. And, of course, your feedback. And thanks again on the feedback. That helps us improve your show. And this is the People's Show. This is your show. This is a platform where your message can be heard and shared with people looking for hope and good news. We want to share your story, how you overcame your hurt, habit, or hang up, and what you do to maintain a healthy, happy life today. Contact us at shoutoutfromthepit.com. We're looking forward to meeting you and sharing your story with us and the world. A merch store is still in the works. Thanks for your patience. And if you've a buck to spare, hit us up on the bucket. Your donations help with platform fees and equipment upgrades. Quick side note, I do get messages on how we can increase, our profitability. I think a lot of that's what Redbeard calls a spam. We are not profit-based. Redbeard and I do this as a community service. The small bucks that we get, maybe some future sponsors and advertisers and whatever, we've got plans, but this really is our community service. So yeah, we're not looking to bust the bank. So again, if those are just spam, well, it is what it is. But if folks are listening to the show thinking you can help us in that area, yeah, no, thanks. Okay, so moving along. And be sure to subscribe, like, and share with a friend. You'll get Diane's missives full of awesome tools and encouragement and episodes designed to edutain as you trudge the road to happy destiny. As always, it's for free and for fun. All right, here's another sidebar before we launch into the show. A certain word has crossed my simple brain lately, and if you don't mind, I'd like to give some old rucker insight. Stubborn. The definition of stubborn: having or showing dogged determination not to change one's attitude or position on something, especially in spite of good arguments or reasons to do so. Okay, that's good and not so good. I suppose if I'm stubborn for the right reasons, like standing my ground for my values or staying the course on my recovery journey, that's good stuff. But then there's that false ego of mine, a huge ego with an inferiority complex. Nothing I haven't really shared before. Humility is a lifelong endeavor for the old rucker. Hey, by admitting it, does it make me more humble than you? Okay, see, I'm a work in progress. A recent reading about Pharaoh and Moses in Exodus was a great reminder of why I have to be aware of my false pride. We know Moses came on orders from God to Pharaoh to let the Hebrews go free, and Pharaoh stubbornly refused. From Pharaoh's perspective, letting the slaves go free wasn't a good business deal. So, and plus Pharaoh himself thought he was God, so yeah, that's another thing. So, as God directed through Moses, plague after plague jacked up Egypt. It began with turning the Nile's waters to blood. Nope. Pharaoh stubbornly refuses to let the slaves go free. Okay, next comes the frogs. Frogs came from everywhere, even in Pharaoh's underwear. That reminds me of a rhyme in Bible school when I was a kid. Okay, moving along. Nope, still stubborn. Gnats, same thing. Nope, ain't budging. Flies, still a resounding no. Then comes the 5th and 6th plagues of animal destruction and horrible, painful body boils. I mean, they were all over the body. Look, I have to confess, I had a boil once, and it wasn't pleasant. Can you imagine having those jokers all over the body? Not only did Pharaoh refuse to let the slaves go free, but at this point, God permanently hardens Pharaoh's heart, meaning in a sense, God quit giving the man options. Pharaoh, by his own choices, had passed the point of no return. Proverbs chapter 29 verse 1 says, whoever stubbornly refuses to accept criticism will suddenly be destroyed beyond recovery. That verse, whether you take it biblically or just in reality, motivates me to get off my ego seat and work on my humility before I get humbled because of my stubbornness. You know, there's a lesson here, several actually. The largest one I think we should consider is how many times we have been given an opportunity to turn away from our labels before we become so desensitized to them that there's little to no hope in turning away and getting on a path of recovery. How many people do we have to injure? Material losses, job losses, friendships, etc., because we refuse to change, refuse to get help, refuse to make a difference in our own lives. And there's a strange, dysfunctional comfort in refusing to give in until the point where giving in, surrendering, isn't even a thought. For some of us, we take that stubbornness to the grave, and others of us, for whatever miraculous reason, call it divine intervention if you like, reach a point where we're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and then we begin a road to recovery. We begin to trudge the road to happy destiny. We can make a true positive impact on others' lives once we set an example by making a change in our own lives. Obviously, I'm guilty, or the subject wouldn't have resonated with me. Does it speak to you? If so, you can make a difference beginning today, even by taking Redbeard's One Honest Thing Challenge. Check the show notes for the link and let us know how it's going. Okay, so here's what to expect from this show. Chris is a husband, father, wirehead, astronomer, and recovering alcoholic, sharing his incredible experience, strength, and hope with us. And what an amazing story he has. In his own words, Chris says, I'm just a God-fearing, loving father and husband. I work in a business that is rarely seen nor heard. Working with Wi-Fi is like explaining God. People just believe and trust it is there till they don't connect. And now, on with the show. All right. Is my hair okay, everybody? You good?
Looks great, Bob.
Okay. Chris, your hair looks great.
Always.
Hey, shout out, folks. It's Bob the Old Rucker coming at you raw and uncensored. And as always, only God knows what's going to happen on this show. Welcome to Shout Out from the Pit, where the host sucks, but the guest is awesome. I'm the host, and Redbeard, my friend, partner, and producer, is the brains behind the scenes. Joining us today are tribe members that you've heard before. We got Dwight, Ralph, Pat, Sloan, and myself, and there may be some other fellows showing up. Our featured guest today is Chris T. Folks, give a shout out to Chris.
Shout out.
Boom. All right, Chris is not new to the tribe, but he is new to the show. And brothers, as always, I totally appreciate y'all coming out, and definitely your story is amazing, Chris. I'm looking forward to getting into this. So if anybody's got a great story of experience, strength, and hope to offer help to the hurting, man, dude, you do. And, to let people know that they're not alone. Wow. In fact, I was just thinking before we started this thing, I met you and Ralph at the same time at the mob, right? And again, you guys kind of welcomed me with open arms coming back onto this journey. And it was like 8 years ago. So, and then we're going to talk about this in the show, but some of the interesting things that you're involved in, makes me want to start, stargazing, but we'll get into that. All right. So as always, before we get started, I have a did you know? Did you know, or do you know why the Pilgrims settled at Plymouth in Massachusetts? Partly because they were running low on beer. They didn't teach us this in school. The old proverb holds that for want of a nail, the kingdom was lost, and yet it seems that for want of a beer, a colony was founded. The religious separatists known today as Pilgrims, who left England aboard the Mayflower in September 1620, endured cramped conditions and frightening storms as they waited out their journey across the Atlantic Ocean. As described in Susan Cheever's Drinking in America, our secret history, one of the few sources of relief for this troubled lot, was the daily ration of up to a gallon of beer. When I first saw this, I thought, what? And then as I read further, as I'll share with you guys, it makes sense to me. Besides helping to calm harrowed nerves, the fermented beverage provided health benefits to imbibers, as it was safer to drink than the algae-laced water supplies. The Mayflower passengers were ecstatic to finally reach the shores of America when they landed in Massachusetts in November, but they were bound by contract with the Virginia Company of London to settle farther south. However, the ship was blown off course, and dangerous rocks and shifting shoals prevented it from progressing to Virginia, prompting Captain Christopher Jones to turn his storm-battered ship back toward Cape Cod. According to William Bradford, an early governor of the Plymouth colony, the Mayflower crew still had some beer left when they landed in Massachusetts, but they were saving it for the return trip, and thus pushed the Pilgrims to go to shore and drink water. After a few weeks of scouring the region, the Pilgrims realized the importance of finding a spot to bunker down for the winter and beyond. As one passenger wrote in a surviving journal from the period, "We could not now take time for further search or consideration, our victuals being much spent, especially our beer." The newcomers promptly began building what became Plymouth Colony in the area of an abandoned Wampanoag settlement, with a brew house, unsurprisingly, among the first structures to be raised. And that is your Did You Know for today. Okay. What would we call that? Useless information? I don't know. All righty then. So Chris is a husband, father, wirehead, and astronomer. So Chris, give us a snapshot. By the way, happy belated birthday. Last week, right? When was your birthday? Oh,
it was in April.
That's when you experienced your first. Folks, I just discovered this like today, and it blows my mind that Chris is even here and he's vertical. So what was your week like last week?
Last week,
you got to pull the mic closer to you.
I'm sorry. Last week, it started out, everything was going well. Felt a little weak at the beginning of the week, and it slowly went downhill, only to find out that I could not physically drive or text and things like that. And I just said, it's going to be okay. And I kept going about what I needed to do. And I finally quit completely driving on Friday, trying to, after I'd pulled into traffic, oncoming and things like this, because I'd had a small stroke. Well, you won't call it a small stroke. It was a stroke.
Well, I'm glad
in which that was the second one this year. The other one was on my actual birthday.
On your birthday in April.
In
okay.
April, yes.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're alive. You're mobile.
But the positive thing is, as one of my sponsees said, was, hey, that's less than 1%. Out of 365 days, if you think about it, only 2 days out of those 365, that makes it less than 1%. So I'm doing good this year.
Yeah.
Out of the mouths of babes.
One way to look at it.
Yeah. Amen. Well, so before we go and start, your journey through life and the ups and downs and challenges that you experienced, give us a snapshot of who you are today.
I'm a 55-year-old male that has been remarried. I have a wife that's 17 years younger than me. I have a child that's 7 years old.
Ooh.
And, I love God. God has protected me. Even when I thought that there was no God, even at one point that I thought, and I was proven wrong on that, and am continued to be just blown away on a daily basis. Some of the things that are proven to me that there is a God, and I love wiring houses, climbing in very small holes, and playing with the critters that are in the attics or in drop ceilings and things like that. Getting the occasional, 220 and 110 hit, to the body, and that keeps me going.
Never a dull moment.
Never.
So when we know that you're a tech guy.
Yes.
So what does, you own your own business, you're self-employed, but do you do a variety of different types of tech, or is there, like when you say wire houses, what?
That would be anywhere from fiber optic to network cabling to large scale wireless, where you're shooting up to 5 miles, direct point to point, things like this. So you're having to aim closer to the earth for the curvature and stuff like this.
Does your astronomy, interest help with your business at all? Knowing the earth and the movement of the stars?
My belief that the earth is round, fully makes me understand that a little bit better. It makes it work a little. It just means you have to, raise the tower just a little higher so it can go a little further.
Not to digress too far, but that's what happens on this show. These dishes that I see on tops of homes and what have you, do you install that kind of stuff, and are they even necessary today?
Like satellite dishes?
Yeah. I see the little ones and I see big ones. And
are you talking about like TV, like Dish Network and stuff like that? No. But if I'm Starlink, stuff like that, yes. I occasionally do a few of those, but it works in the same process of what I'm doing.
Okay.
And that also ties in with T-Mobile and all the rest of that.
Oh, so that's the kind of tech we're talking about. I get it. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But these are typically point to point, for if, say you have a business and you have another one of your buildings halfway down the block or a block away, it's a direct point to point, and you're getting over a gig direct without having any type of wiring, and it's just from aiming the signal directly to it.
All right. I'm going to have you look around my house and tell me how we can improve our connectivity here in this place.
Not a problem. We do this all the time.
I wasn't really tracking what kind of tech you did. Okay, I get it. All right, so you started your recovery journey, how many years ago have you been?
Let's see, it started out in March 6th of 2005.
Okay.
So it's just a little over 20 years at this point.
Okay. And are you from Arkansas?
No.
Where are you from?
No, it's funny because I'm the only member in my family that was born in Ohio, in a small suburb called Parma.
Okay.
And The rest of my family is either from Omaha, Nebraska, and then the other side of my family is from Fort Smith, Arkansas.
Oh, is that how you ended up in Arkansas then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So were you raised in Ohio then, or
until the age of 6, and then I wound up moving down here. Someone had conveniently burned down my dad's company up there.
you say conveniently? So arson?
Yes.
Okay. So what was it like growing up? I mean, you really, it's funny when I think about it. I know more about your hobbies and your interests than I do, your background. So, I mean, do you have like siblings or?
I have a sister that's 6 years older than me. She was an Army brat, and she grew up in Germany, while my dad was driving mobile nukes up and down the border, and that's what he did before he went to Vietnam. And then, she was born at Fort Sill and things like this. So, and then by the time he had come, I was conceived while he was on leave from Vietnam, basically.
Wow. And, what did he do in Vietnam?
He was what they call Riverine. It was a mixed group between the Marines, the Army, and part of the Air Force and stuff. I only know a little of what it was about, because most of the time he was not where he was supposed to be, is the easiest way to explain it.
A lot of our guys in Vietnam.
Yeah, it was basically, and what he did was he drove PT boats with 60 cals and what do you call it? Large ammunition on the back of it, and would draw in fire, and then they would come in napalm behind him. Okay. And they would leave with about 20 boats a day and come back with 4. That was the average.
Wow. What was he in the Navy then?
No. Army? Yes.
Doing a PT boat?
Yes.
Yeah. You said it was mixed. Okay.
Uh-huh.
All right. So, were you?
He would call in munitions, and he was a forward observer and other things.
I understand that language.
He did a lot of different things.
Did he make a career out of the military, and you bounce around, or did he do his time and get out? Or
he was going to make a career out of it. He left as a captain, and basically by 1971, he had called it. At that point, he had seen enough, done enough, and
you were 2 at that point, 2 or 3 years old.
Right at 2.
Okay, all right. So you didn't have the luxury of bouncing around as a military brat.
No, I didn't. I was stateside, and then lo and behold, when he came back, he set up shop in Cleveland, Columbus area, and so I got raised right off the Great Lakes there for a few years, and then I was brought to Arkansas, to Little Rock, and I could not understand a word anybody said down there.
I went through that myself. So what was it like growing up?
Typical 80s kid. The lights go out. You better get your tail home. My dad, he worked for a financial firm here in town, and he would leave on Monday mornings, fly to New York or somewhere else like that, and worked at the stock exchange and things like that. In that aspect, worked his way up, and then became a VP of a financial firm. And
that's him. What about you? What about your growing
up? I was just a little hellion, to be honest. I cut up in every form and fashion and enjoyed life. And every weekend I got to go out into the woods when my father would come home. We would blow up stuff, shoot things, cut up things, and learn how to fish, hunt. Anything you killed, you had to eat, though. That was the catch.
What are some interesting things you ate?
He made that very clear. Well, some of the most interesting things is when I went to Costa Rica and was eating iguana and things like this, where that was, I mean, one of the guys that was with us, he used the iguana as a baseball bat, and it didn't kill it, and so we wound up shooting it. And when my father had found out what had happened, he said, "Well, good, you're eating it."
How old were you?
I was 11 years old.
How'd it taste? Like chicken?
No, well, it was a twangy version of it. Yeah, it was a little bit more gamey, but yeah.
Did you? Well, you said you were a Hellion, so I'm going to guess that you jumped into this iguana with adventure, right? You didn't steer away from it.
No.
Yeah, I could see you doing that. So do you stay away from pet shops now because you might
Not at all.
eat a lizard?
I'm not scared of snakes and stuff like that either. I've eaten rattlesnake and other type snake and stuff that you really don't want to eat because it just tastes nasty. But yes.
Now your wife's from Arkansas, right?
Yes, she is.
So you guys eat possum and stuff? Oh, she's a local girl. Sherwood people don't eat possum though, do
they? No. She doesn't eat deer.
What?
It just throws me off. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. But she has eaten it previously until they told her what it was.
What about squirrel?
No, she will not.
What about you?
I love squirrel.
Really?
Yeah, I like squirrel brains, things like this. Yes, I used to have that in eggs and things like that when I was younger. Yes.
Dwight, do you eat that kind of stuff?
Yes, I did growing up. Chris said you eat what you kill, man.
Ralph, did you eat that kind of stuff?
Yeah, we'd have fried squirrel for breakfast. Bread and gravy. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And you just mop it up.
Pat, you didn't, right? Really?
Not like later in life. So you go, you hunt squirrels and you kill them and you skin them and you eat.
I just, I never would have saw that because your dad was a suit and tie type of guy. I never pictured him as a hunter. Sloan, what about you?
One time, and it wasn't bad. We just didn't do that a lot.
All right. Well, I'm the virgin in here, and I'm going to stay that way. I've never had squirrel, possum. I ate a snake, part of a snake. No. And by the way, I hunt at Kroger. It's more humane. All right, so give us some more background. So your dad and you had a good relationship then, yeah?
Yes, it worked out real well. Basically, when he would come home, he would sit down with me for 10, 20 minutes and ask me basically, tell me what you've done wrong. We'll get through that first, and then we're going to talk about what we're going to do this weekend and have a good time, and we're going to move on.
That's awesome.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was basically that, and he worked really hard, doing what he did in the finance business and other things like that. And his point is when he came back to town, he was ready to, get into some regular blue jeans and a nice just T-shirt or a flannel button down, and it's time to go hunt. Let's go to the woods. Let's go blow up some stuff. So go shoot some stuff and enjoy things.
Are you his only son?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. That sounds really good. So when did you, I don't know, you said you were a little Hellion. So when did your rebellious streak come out? How'd that come out?
About 5.
5 years old?
Yeah.
And how'd that go over with Dad?
And it continued. As I stated, we would get through that 10 or 20 minutes, and he would make it very clear what I was allowed to do again, or not to do, and then we would move on and enjoy the weekends.
When you got into your high school years, had you at that point gone down a path that Dad didn't want you to go, or?
I had the easiest way I'll state it is I had a criminal attorney that was on retainer.
Oh my gosh!
Yes.
Would you say, Dwight?
Made him earn every penny.
Oh my gosh! So did that? I'm just curious. Give us some specifics.
Here's just a real ballpark one.
Sure.
If you look in specific sealed records and stuff, I have 18 DWIs. I have
Before you were 18?
Before I was, okay, I had 12 before I was 16.
Oh, God bless. How did you maintain a driver's, or did you even have a driver's license?
I didn't have a driver's license, so it wasn't old enough yet. And it was actually postponed. I got to drive when I was almost 17 legally.
You got a driver's license before you turned to 18, before you became 18. You finally got a driver's
Yes.
Even with that, all the Deweys.
Well, there's ways to take care of those things.
Okay. All right. I'm catching a hint here, so we'll move along. What was, were you just drinking? You obviously got a Dewey. Were you doing anything else?
Basically anything I could ingest and smoke and just about anything. I tried a lot of things.
So when you turned 18, had a driver's license, were you invited to move out of the house, or how? I'm just curious.
I was emancipated by the age of 16.
Really?
Yes.
So your relationship with Dad kind of parted ways, or what?
No, he just wasn't going to pay for any of this.
Okay. I'm with your dad on this.
And yes, I had my own place by the age of 16.
So I know you're a worker. Did you have a work ethic even though you were still like a Hellion? Or
I had my first legal job where I paid taxes and stuff.
Sure.
When I was 13 years old, I worked at a Burger King.
Oh, you could do that at 13?
Yeah, I cleaned toilets and loaded the broiler. And hopefully I actually wiped my hands in between.
Okay, well, then broiler's going to sanitize everything. So, I know that you had some things happen later in life, but I don't know when those things happened. Your activities or your debauchery or whatever, did you do any bar time? I'm talking about Crow's Nest Hotel jail time or any of this, or
I did a little bit.
So tell us about that. How did you end up there?
I wound up, I was in South Carolina working for a gentleman, and we some narcotics had been misplaced from a police chief's house, and lo and behold, I took the fall for that.
I got to ask, what were the narcotics doing at the chief's house?
I can't say.
Okay. What on this show can you talk about?
I'm trying to tell you as much as I possibly can without incriminating myself to the worst of my ability here.
Well, I can lead the witness all day long, but if I keep running into a wall, it's just going to be a short show.
No, it was a crooked police chief, and lo and behold, it started out one way, where actually the person that I worked for was stealing jewelry from them.
Oh, wow.
And found a whole garage full of narcotics. And what's the police chief gonna say? You stole the narcotics and nothing else. So
right. What narcotics?
Other things disappeared, and that's what basically I had to be the fall guy for.
So you just mentioned you were in North Carolina?
South Carolina.
So whatever, one of the Carolinas. So how did you get there from here? Were you bouncing around, driving? I'm trying to get you to give us a little visual of who you are, where you were.
At one point, I actually dropped out of high school, and then went back, got a GED, then went and enrolled into UALR, and yes, and in between that, I'd had a serious motorcycle wreck, a previous one where I'd broken my back, other things, blah blah blah, and blood spot on the skull, about 6 inches, things like this. Went on, moved to Memphis because I was asked politely by a judge or two from the Heights in Little Rock that they would prefer for me to go ahead and just disappear and leave town.
Well, at least they gave you a
after
choice.
they arrested most of the people in my house one day, and
So
that
they gave you a choice.
That made it very clear. And I mean, as I said, I was a Hellion, and I did whatever I wanted, however I wanted, and I had to pay the repercussions of a lot of it.
Yeah. So, and you got married during this time?
No,
Yo, yeah. Were you single until you married your current wife?
no, the wife before this one, but yes.
So maybe I didn't ask the question right.
I was single until I was 32 years old.
Okay. And somewhere in there, I guess, you I don't know, had enough.
And what had happened is I was still drinking heavily at that point. I'd been in and out of sobriety a few small times, for 6 years here, 8 years there, blah, 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 in and out, in and out, in and out. My wife had gotten pregnant and miscarried.
Sorry to hear that.
And I still married her. All right. And went about living a married life for a few years. And during part of that, I had gotten sober. And a lot of it, some people said I hid in the rooms because I literally would go to 3 to 5 meetings a day.
That's a good thing.
That's a great thing. That's a great thing because number one is I kept working heavily. I didn't see my wife as much, right, which is not a good thing. But I focused on myself and my sobriety.
This is before 2005?
No, this was just after 2005 was when I got sober that time, and it is stuck, and I was married at that point.
Okay.
And was that way until 2012 when I had a serious motorcycle accident in which I divorced while I was still in and out of the hospital for 2 years after that accident.
So I know about the accident, but if you could tell us about what it did to you, because the first time I heard it, it was at Ralph's house when you were talking about it. It's kind of unbelievable that you even survived that. So what led to the accident and what happened to you in the accident? And then we'll talk about after.
Yeah, what kind of a bike was it?
Yeah, were you on a motorcycle at that time?
Important question.
Yes.
Yeah, yes. I was on a motorcycle at that time. I had just left a location called Wolf Street Foundation, the newer one, which
It was actually on Wolf Street.
Do you want?
No, was it actually? Oh, the newer one.
This is the newer one. This,
On Louisiana?
This is on Louisiana,
Okay,
and not the original Wolf Street.
right.
And I had just left out of there after a corrections meeting, is what they call it for when you go to the Department of for Corrections.
Right,
and,
right.
And I left out of there a little after like 5:05, 5:10. I was on a little Triumph Speed Triple, and a little 950cc.
Oh, she got some get up and go there. Okay,
It was a naked bike, so it didn't look like a crotch rocket except for just the framing and the bug eyes on it. And either way, I'd gone down and I leapt off of at a light. I was going to go up and around somebody, and they decided to hit the brakes immediately and make a U-turn in the middle of the Broadway Bridge. And at that point, I had a choice, and I had noticed this guy's Civic that was in front of me, who was a friend of mine named Perry. And lo and behold, I did not go through the back of his car. I literally stuck it completely up on its nose and dropped it down on me. And at that point, that bike it was heavier than I could pick up on my own. Plus the fact I had just scalded my leg and other things at that point. I was climbing out from under it when a pickup truck with about a 20-foot trailer, the 20-foot trailer drove over me, but pickup truck didn't.
Jeez, that's the part I remember.
And it was full of lawn maintenance stuff, and they just kept on going after they had come off of me.
Wow.
And they had driven over my shoulder and came off the opposite hip.
Wow. They left it. They left the scene.
Yes.
There's a hit and run. I didn't know that part.
And, the cameras on the bridge just happened to not work and things like this. And yes.
But you had plenty of witnesses.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus, Chris. Wow. So now I vaguely remember your aftercare and your recovery from that. It took a while because there were some things, I guess you had mentioned, like you were kidding tonight as we were coming in the house, about shifting your organs. And what does that mean?
They cut out a portion of one of my lungs, over half of my intestinal tract, and upper and lower, and a little bit of my stomach, and some other things in that aspect. And so, as I was joking earlier tonight, when I drink carbonated things, it tends to slosh around a little bit and make weird noises in my chest, but it's okay. but it's a funny thing.
Your daughter gets a lot of entertainment out of that.
She does.
God bless. You were 7 years sober at that time?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And so what was, I want to actually go back. I'm going to get hyper focused on this accident because I have heard it before. And when I hear stories like that, it just blows my mind that you're here, that people, so I had to just show with a guy yesterday that very similar type, not motorcycle, but just why God chooses to keep certain people with horrific accidents is just, and other people not near as horrific, and they're not with us. I think God had a plan for your life. But when you came into the program, what was the turning point for you to say, I'm giving up this rebellious life of drugs and alcohol and all the other stuff you were doing to come into recovery? What was the determination, the turning point?
I didn't have an answer. They kept asking me, what is your plan? Because I asked for help. And they said, with what? I said, to live. And they just, my family and people that actually were giving me a last benefit of the doubt, I call it. They asked, why should we do this for you? And I said, I don't know. I didn't have a spill to give them. I didn't feed them a line of anything like that, of why they should.
Yeah.
I honestly just told them I didn't know.
Yeah.
I came in from about a 20 to 25 day run, and I was exhausted. I was curled up in a ball and crying like a little child, covered in all types of stuff. I stunk. It was god awful, and and they kept asking why. Why should we do this again? Why should we try this again?
Obviously I know it again means that you obviously had.
I had gotten sober to escape the judges, the different, basically the law, or to get away from people or things like that. This time I didn't have an answer. I honestly did not have any answer. I was at my last end, the end of the rope.
Okay.
It was either I was just going to die, in which at that point I had ingested way too much speed and alcohol and other things at that point, and I didn't know what else to do.
So I'm just asking. So
no, this is before. This was back in 2005.
So when you had got experienced abstinence previously, it was because you were just, like Brett says, you had back problems. You're trying to get the law off your back, the judge, a family, everybody off your back. But this time, even though you didn't have an answer, you truly wanted to quit?
I wanted to live.
Okay.
All right. I just wanted to live.
All right.
That was for starters.
Yeah.
Then I wanted to quit. All right. After detoxing everything else, I was willing to do anything that they asked me to do.
Do you know how many times you'd actually gone through a detox previously?
7 times.
Sorry, Danny's breathing in your face. I don't know. He
It's
likes
okay.
you. Do you like dogs?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I have two dogs. They're this size, if not larger.
Okay, because it looks like he's trying to get in the microphone like he's got something to say. All right, so I missed your answer, Chris. I'm sorry.
7.
Huh?
7.
You had gone to 7 detoxes?
7.
Okay. When you went to your final detox, you said you wanted to live. How did you end up? You already knew about Alcoholics Anonymous then?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay.
I knew it way too well. Let me just say
Sure.
that, because when I showed up at a wonderful place called Bridgeway, my
Alumni zero.
one of my previous sponsors happened to be there. His name was John Gillen.
Oh,
And-
that's your buddy, Sloan.
Infamous John G.
and lo and behold, he assigned me to my sponsor that time, a wonderful gentleman by the name of Frank Z. And lo and behold, and he was my sponsor until I actually acted out because I was jealous of a gentleman that was getting too much attention from Frank. And that was when I'd gotten just about 90 to 120 days in and things like this. And I'd been clipping through the steps with him, and it came down to me and him acting like little schoolboys outside a meeting, throwing punches at each other, surrounded by all the men at this men's meeting over in West Little Rock and things. And John Gillen is a lot smaller than me, was a lot smaller than me, and this gentleman that was sponsoring me, Frank Z. And he reached over and grabbed both of us by the ears and sent us about our ways. Told Frank to go on with his motorcycle and said that I was to go take him and pay for his dinner, and that he was my new sponsor.
Oh, that's perfect. Okay. Wow. Okay. Well,
and so I wound up with him until I wound up with my wonderful sponsor that I have now. Who's taught me more about spirituality than anybody I know, which happens to be Ralph.
Yeah.
We don't call him the guru for nothing.
That's right. Big G. All right. So you're now you're back in the program 2005. How long after you came out of detox, did you go back to Bridgeway? I'm just curious.
Actually, I got cut off and told to leave Bridgeway. Hold on. All right. And I was in there, and me and John Gillen, we had gone through the same place up in North Arkansas in Springdale called Decision Point. We had kind of gone through, I'd seen him there as a counselor previously.
Oh,
and he said that he wasn't going to waste any time, and that if I opened my mouth, I was going to kill somebody in there. And I'm probably one of 50 that he's used that same scenario with. And he sent me directly to a men's AA meeting one Wednesday night, just a few days after I'd finished detox, where I was supposed to be in Bridgeway for another 60 or 90 days or 30 days. Oh no, it was like 10 days, and he said, "You're going." And
okay.
And just sent me, he said, "You're here as a refresher course, and you need to go on, and you're either going to die or you're going to make it."
All right. So you're kind of taking charge of your sobriety this time.
I leapt in there as far as I possibly could.
You what?
I jumped in there as far as I possibly could.
Okay.
I didn't want to fail this time.
Okay.
I was scared.
Yeah.
I'll just be honest. I was scared.
Okay. And when did you get your sponsor? When did Ralph become your sponsor? 2005, you came in for real this time, and you've been sober since.
It was right at no, it was right around 2010.
Oh, whoa! So what did you do between 2005 2010, as far as working the program goes?
Oh, yeah, that'd be about right. I basically worked the steps. I did a lot of service work. I was there when Soberfest first originated. Was head first into all that.
So if what I'm trying to track here is, were you doing all this on your own then? You're working the steps on your own?
No. I still had Gillen.
He was your actual sponsor?
He was my actual sponsor.
I wasn't tracking that because I knew he was a counselor.
Yes. He was no longer my counselor, and after he had seen the display that I kind of put on that one night with Frank, he fired Frank and took me under his wing, and that's why William was one of Ralph's sponsor, was one of my sponsee brothers at one point.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean it's been mixed around, whatever.
Yeah, I'm trying to straighten out a spider web in my head here, trying to connect the dots.
It's convoluted. It's okay. It's part of my life. Everything in my brain works convoluted.
Okay. Well, but you're able to shoot wires. Boom. So you got that going for you.
John G sponsored a lot of guys. And when I first met Chris, he was sponsoring. There was about 5 or 6 of them just running around together.
You can actually pick that up.
Is that better?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Much better.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
There are about 5 or 6 of them running around together. And I thought, I just started the Hope group, and I thought, oh, these guys have been around for a long, long time. Then I find out they didn't even know what the hell they were doing, but staying sober.
That's funny.
But John sponsored a lot of them. Chris was one of those till John died.
When did John actually pass? I never met the man. I just heard great things about him, or not great.
2010.
Yeah.
Okay, so when he passed, that's when.
Chris. Yeah.
Okay, that helps. Thank you. You bridged the gap for me.
I think I went maybe a month.
Yeah, it wasn't long.
Maybe a month without a sponsor.
Okay,
and that was about it.
All right.
And
I was trying to check this timeline.
Different people were directing me. You should go with this person.
Yeah.
And I just had my ears open, and I listened to who was around me.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you had 5 years sober at that point.
Yes, but still, I claim myself as being an idiot.
Really? Because I mean a lot of people that have 5 years and they've graduated the program.
Congratulations to them. I won't. When that happens is when the Lord takes me, as I see it.
I like how you think. All right, so let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back. I really want to hear about the tools that you use to maintain sobriety and your relationship with how you specifically deal with some of the sponsees, because I know a lot of sponsors work differently with the sponsees. It's not a cookie cut program, but I know we've chatted about it a little bit. And plus, I do want to hear about how you got into astronomy. I had no idea how. I don't want to give you a big head. I mean, you already got a big head, but how smart you are when you came over and visited with Shannon and I one night, and just really, when you left here, we talked about that for days. Just like, how do you absorb that? But anyway, I'm digressing. Let's take a break. We'll come back. All right, folks, welcome back. We're in the second part of the show. We're going to move into the solution. And so as we've gathered earlier, Chris has been in the program since 2005, established a relationship somewhere around 2010 with Ralph, and you had said that you gained a lot of spiritual tools from Ralph. So why don't you tell us about some of the tools? I look at tools in 2 waves. The first wave is the one we hear about all the time, right? The basics. Don't drink, go to meetings, get a sponsor, work the steps. Okay, great. Tell me about how those tools work for you, and what's your program look like in your maintenance schedule?
Okay. For starters, I will have to go back just a little bit before Ralph for just a second, and that is to state that service work was huge, and you start building on not just you start building on the traditions and concepts when it comes to service work more than just the steps. You start adding all those in there along with it, and that way they fall together, and you have to work all of them together, right? And so, as basic reading daily, I used to hate that, but I did it anyways. All right, because I found out there was more and more that I was learning. Ralph taught me that it's not just what you're reading, it's how you're reading it. Okay, you're not there to disprove the other person on their program. You're there to grow in your program. One of the biggest concepts was that I learned from him and from Sponsee Brothers and stuff was that other people's God concept can be different and be acceptable, whether it's Jehovah, Jesus, whatever you name them. All right. You want to just call them higher power. It's okay. And so I had to work on that completely. The main thing was that I was supposed to be working on myself and seeing what I could do to help others, all right, and to lead others, to not drink, all right, but to be the word I keep wanting to say, not accepting, but shoot, I apologize, sir.
It's all right.
Accountable. Excuse me. I am to be accountable for my own actions. All right. For my own words. All right. For how I hold my program. Okay. Not my sponsor. Not other people. If I'm not growing and learning, that's my fault. Okay. I don't blame my sponsor. All right. I don't blame my sponsee brothers. That's not their fault. All right. I'm supposed to be listening to the good things that I'm supposed to be pulling from the program. Not, well, I heard someone say that I have to state the word Jesus. All right. And if I don't do that, I won't stay sober. Well, that's the biggest crock I've ever heard. Okay.
Wow, okay.
All right? The main thing is that I am supposed to take what I can out of the program that's wholesome and healthy and build on that and continue to work the steps honestly to myself. All right. And others. That's why they have it listed in that way, not listed as to others and myself, and things like that. So, that was big things that I had to listen to. I remember, real quick when I was in the hospital for a moment, about a year or so, it was basically my sponsor would come up there and ask me, have you been reading? Have you been doing this? Can you focus to read? Do you need somebody to read to you? Things like this. All right. So that I wasn't slumping back and dropping back. I would have people come and meet with me, even while I was at the hospital. And I was grateful, extremely grateful. And I'm still grateful to this day, because I still continued to build on my program while I was even having to be stationary. There's people that are shut-ins, that I'm grateful when I hear that people come and visit them, just like I had the opportunity. And I try to give back that opportunity whenever I can to the best of my ability. Did that answer some of it?
Yeah. Like you said during the break, you wanted to expound on the solution. So this is free flow for you, man. Just tell us, you got an audience out there that's looking for tools. So what do they look like to Chris and how do you work them?
when it comes to, now I don't pressure my sponsees. All right. I'm not going to break their arms and tell them, you either get this or you don't. I do suggest to them, you might want to, write your fourth step. You might want to work on we'll be happy to work on the fifth step together. If it doesn't work out between us and you feel more comfortable for the fifth step to be with somebody else, that is fine. They don't even have to fire me. They can just work that through and things like this, and we will work through that and find a way. All right. So that we can speak and be productive about it. But I don't want them to slow down because of me or something in that aspect. I've spent whole weekends with sponsees. I've spent weeks with sponsees, staying with them to help build on them and also build on me simultaneously, because it's a give and take when you're dealing with a sponsee. Just when you think you might have something on them, they come off with some crazy question that you may not have an answer for, and you might have to ask for some help. And it's been proven to me, and it's been proven to a lot of people I know plenty of times. And I'm grateful that I've been able to have people I could turn to, that I go, I'm fumbled by this. I don't know what to do. And they'll go, well, here, first thing is we're going to pray about it. We're going to think about it. And where is it in the book here? And at that, if I can't find a lot of those things, then I probably shouldn't be dealing with it. All right. Not in that aspect. If I have a sponsee that is, that has, mental disorders, things like that, something that I'm not a clinical doctor for. All right. I suggest for them to see them on a lot of that, but we'll be happy to talk about it. But I'm not giving them advice that could make it detrimental for them, if that makes sense. I'm not versed in PTSD. I might have forms of it, but that doesn't mean that I have a doctorate in it, so I should not run out there and take care of that. And, either way, I've done a lot of service work that has taught me to follow instructions, to work the steps while I'm doing these things, and to believe in God every moment as I'm going through it. I have made an ass of myself multiple times, all right, as I've grown in this program. And I've had to ask for forgiveness, all right. That was growth. Any other day, I would have slugged you and just walked away and probably found a beer or something to take care of it, but not today. Today, I want to get through it, and I want to grow from it. And on that, I don't know anything else.
So on the service work, just, we talk a lot about it on the show here. So let's focus on that for a second. I got another question, but on the service work, just kind of hear me out before you answer. What is service work? Why do service work? And what types of service work are there?
Okay. The types of service work that I have participated in, all right, is everything from working down at Wolf Street for free a few times, working at Central Office for a few times at the desk down there. And that's just for information purposes. Okay. And then on top of it, I spent quite a while, going to a correctional facility where I was the only person that would go behind the gate, and they would shut the wonderful iron doors and everything. And I was the only one that was running a meeting there by myself. And that was a little interesting. And, but it was great because it was actually bringing the steps into that structure there. All right. And trying to keep the whole meeting on track with not just the steps, but the traditions. All right. Making sure that it was not just a therapy session, you know, and continue on where they were fully understanding what Alcoholics Anonymous was about, which was the primary purpose is to stay sober. All right. And, you know, and from that, once you start to work the steps, then you start building on yourself. Okay. When I can bring that to somebody else, that is awesome. When I got to work with Soberfest, I started out and I was literally sweeping and cleaning up chicken guts and things like this and emptying trash cans. Okay. I wasn't running anything, wasn't planning on running anything, you know, and then after a few years, it wound up where here's the checkbook. Here, you're going to go buy everything for us, you know, beforehand. Here's all this stuff. And the main thing was it was thinking about not what I could get from it. It's what these people are going to get from actually participating there. All right. What they can hear from the different speakers that are going to come up there and give them experience, strength, hope, and hopefully some wisdom, you know, and which I gained a lot of that when I used to participate with Archie-Paul. It was the same way there. I was extremely grateful. And then lo and behold, there was two girls that came to me one day. They had gotten into an uproar at an F Street meeting, and it was all over some guy. And so they wanted to start their own meeting, and they had no clue. They had a resentment and a coffee pot. And I had just bought them the coffee pot, you know, and it wasn't about what I'd bought them. It was that I wanted to help them have the opportunity to have a meeting where they felt safe, you know, and it was, you know, it was things like that. Next thing I knew, I was sitting around, we'd set everything up, and it was almost a complete women's meeting. and years later, it became almost a men's meeting. It just, you know, it morphed through time, like most AA meetings do, but it still kept the same structure. That was the main thing. And,
so why do service work at all?
It's to get out of myself.
Okay.
All right. That is the main thing is to beat down ego, to beat down pride, to beat down all those things like that. And that you're giving back to somebody else that probably deserved it 3 times more than I did, or at least I hope.
Okay. You had mentioned reading earlier. We have various forms of literature in AA and recovery and in general. What are some of your go-to readings that you like to read for your recovery?
Of course, the big book as everybody uses, but what is it called? Yes, you have your daily reflections and things like this. It's I don't want to get it wrong. It's Drop the Rock is one of the key ones, and it's amazing. Every time I read through it, it's like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
That sentence was not there last time I read this. And why is it glaring at me? Because it's what fits in with me right now.
Right.
Okay. And where I'm at in sobriety at that moment. I probably read over it and skimmed through it or whatever 50 times. But until it becomes, as you grow in the program, different things glare at you when you're reading back through these. I want to say it's not called Bill's Story, but
Bill Caesar.
Thank you.
Oh, as Bill sees it, yeah. Excerpts.
Well, no, not just the excerpts, but the bigger, the bigger bound book. Yeah. And which is fascinating. Right now, it's been a real pain in the rear because my vision and brain has been partially scrambled lately, thanks to the second stroke. But I'm still trying to enjoy it as much as possible.
Sure.
It makes it a little bit more troublesome, but it's okay. Yeah. I've learned to cheat a little bit because sometimes I will have the computer read it to me. So even when I have problems deciphering it, I find a way to make it work.
So let me ask you some questions you might be able to give some quick answers to. They're not in depth, but you can answer them as you wish. What does it, when you hear character defects, what does that mean to you, and how do you deal with them?
Okay, just right out of the bat, there is if it's a character defect, it's going to be something that I see in somebody else that is I've used the word earlier, glaring. All right, that I see in them that aggravates me. A lot of times I have to stop and look back and go, wait a minute. That is me looking in the mirror, and maybe I shouldn't be so judgmental. Maybe I should not be beating up on them. Maybe I should be a little bit nicer to them. And to find out that I was being that way, if not worse. Yeah. Okay. And I want to know why that they're not reacting the way that I wanted them to. All right. That comes in a lot. And I have to think about that myself. So I have to look at myself. All right. Definitely when I'm looking at the defects before I start looking at others. Hopefully that was a very quick answer for you.
Yeah, no, this is what again, you're speaking to the audience, and they're hearing some of these things maybe for the first time. Maybe they've heard them on the show before, but now you're giving us your perspective on it. That's cool. So the brother and sister team called Shame and Guilt. How do you deal with those subjects or those twin babies, shame and guilt?
I have a 7-year-old daughter that likes to put things very simplified to me. Where it's, Daddy, I'm sorry for this, or Daddy, I shouldn't have done that. And then I have to ask myself, is that something I have shown my little girl? Is this an action that I repeat quite often that she's picking up on and repeating? Okay. And that's the glorious thing of having children, is that they like to replicate things that they see or things that they hear. And so I have to go in there and find out if it's something I have been doing. Once again, it's one of those things that I have to work on the internals for me, all right, and find out if it's something I am displaying outwardly. Okay. And if I am, then when I start looking at it, it pretty much tips me off pretty quick. Hey, this is how you're acting. This is what you're doing. And if I write on that just a little bit, it usually either starts to become a small novel or it's something that I can repair rather quickly.
That caveats into another question then. When you hear the word amends, what does that mean to you?
That is that's when I go in and I try to fix things where not to harm others, all right, or myself, which I found out that one kind of late in the program, that you're not supposed to harm yourself along with harming others. As I stated earlier in the program, I used to be a real Hellion, and it got to the point where I had basically thrown myself under the bus a few times, where I should have either gone back to prison or something like that, and in which I have gone back in and literally done for others way more up and above than what I ever did to harm them, and just to make that amends. And a lot of times some people said, Chris, you just went way too far. You didn't have to, and you're still going to get in trouble or something. And I go, oh, I understand, but at least I put my effort into that. Yeah. And now being a husband, a father, things like that, I have to remember that it may affect me. Yeah. It may affect my daughter. It may affect my wife. And so either way, I hope that was an answer.
Well, yeah, it's your answer.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And these are popcorn terms that we use in recovery. So again, just I'm going to throw them at you and just see where it goes, and then this will roll us into the largest question that I will be the end of my rope here for these questions. What do you think when you hear the word respect? Now keep in mind, as I ask these questions, it's assuming that these questions didn't matter to us prior to recovery. So I'm these are terms that we've learned in recovery that we didn't care about before. So, but if you feel like, here's my perspective on respect prior to 2005 and here's where it's at now, you can do that too. It doesn't really matter. I'm just looking for, what does respect mean to Chris?
An understanding that we're equal. Not that we're above anybody, just that we're equal. We all have flaws. We all have differences in things, but that we can sit down and talk. Right? We don't have to use violence. We don't have to use persuasion or anything in that aspect. I try to treat people with respect, as I stated, treat them as an equal, even when I first meet them, and give them that benefit of the doubt.
Okay. Boundaries.
There's quite a few different boundaries that I've had to put up when it comes to my sobriety. Oh, come on, man. You can just have that one drink. Uncle Chris, it's been 20 years.
Right.
Why can't you just have a sip? It's just a beer, things like that. When someone says, well, hey, I haven't heard from this guy in a while. Hey, can you call his wife real quick? All right. I try not to suggest that. Okay. Just out of respect for that man on what would I do if somebody reached out and did things like that? I can understand if it was a group of people doing that, not just as a man reaching out to another man's wife or something in that aspect, right? Or their boyfriend, if that's what they like, either way, but it's the basic fact of, those are simple boundaries that are up in, I used to call them one of those, you don't have to really talk about them because it's one of those obvious things. Yeah. But some of us, we've had our heads jacked with so much by alcohol and other things that God only knows how our brains are wired. Okay. All right. And so sometimes we have to get corrected on some of those things, and we get taught some of the boundaries.
Yeah. Yes. I can see that. All right. So the last one here is love and tolerance is our code. What does that mean to you?
Man, for starters, I'll tell you a real quick little story, and then I'll and maybe you'll understand this answer. I used to be part of a men's group, and we would go out and to dinner afterwards, and one of the guys, he thought it would be really funny to play a joke on me, and he talked one of the waiters to come in and grab a patty of butter. And all y'all out there that are listening, y'all don't know it, but my head is completely bald. And he talked the waiter into rubbing a patty of butter on top of my head as the butter just dripped down into my eyes and everything. And there was whole tables full of people sitting there. All right. And I kept my composure, and I waited, and I sopped up the butter off the top of my head and went about my meal, and then met the man out in the parking lot with a baseball bat, and then stopped because I knew that was not the right thing for me to be doing. Okay. Some people say that I should have gone ahead and done something. All right. I don't want to go to jail. All right. I don't want to expose my wife to having a husband in prison because I just beat a man down. Okay. Things like that. I can take quite a bit. I can learn to walk away these days. I have a huge amount of tolerance, right? And a lot of pain that I've been through because of that. Okay. But I do love other human beings. All right. And I would not like to take one of their lives or to harm them in a fashion where I would go to jail for the rest of my life.
Yeah, you're a better man than I am. I think the waiter
We're all
would have.
glad for that, Chris.
Yeah, I don't think that waiter would have been too happy with me. You mentioned higher power a few times. What is your relationship with your higher power? What's it look like? What's it mean to you? What's your relationship with your higher power?
I early on in sobriety, this time I questioned it. I was told I could have a squirrel and a doorknob as a higher power and things like this. Anything that would work, you know? And so I tried that for very short term, and it didn't quite meld with me.
Okay.
All right. It really didn't. And you know, because kind of it feels awkward to say, almighty doorknob, almighty squirrel, you red squirrel, you, please bring peace to me. You know, that just feels a little awkward.
Yeah.
And so, yes, things like that. And I was taught early on that I could talk to God as if it's just another person next to me that's willing to listen to my crud going on, but then will also bring people into my life that will call me on my stuff. All right. I don't know if this is a little too early or not, but I had mentioned to you in a previous phone call where it took me a while trying to get the full grasp of seeing and believing in God and things like that. And I got down this little voyage of astronomy. Okay. And it's awfully weird because I sit there and I look at the sky and I see all types of crazy sights that are just beautiful, just unfathomable, that how can they be other than there's one creator, at least for me. All right. And that every other day I'm shown something even more awesome and beautiful. And I'm taught different things about the physics and other things of astronomy that proves even more to me that there is a higher power. There is definitely something out there, because things like that shouldn't work that way. And but either way, my God has kept me here and has allowed me to survive multiple things in my lifetime. I should not be here.
Yeah.
I really should not be here. I feel extremely blessed and lucky, all right, that someone's looking down on me. And
not the waiter.
Exactly. And not the waiter with the patty of butter, you know, and it's okay.
Well, I'm glad that you went down that road with the astronomy, because that was something I told you I wanted to talk about, and we don't need to go any further with it, but you just hit it succinctly, because we had that conversation with you and Shannon and I that night, and just the way that you expressed the magnitude of what's out there beyond what we see normally. And then the conversation that you just mentioned about a creative designer, a god, a creator. That to me is almost a show in itself, but it would be better served being a visual show because of some of the things that you've experienced and seen that none of us have seen, because we don't have access to whatever telescopes that are bigger than this house, I guess. So, but I was glad you brought that up, because if I remember right, that was one of the things that solidified for you that there was something a lot bigger out there than just a doorknob. Yeah. Yeah, and that was very well said. I wish we could actually tape that conversation, because you had my interest on it. All right, we are coming towards the end, and before I ask you, actually, I'm going to ask you this question, then I'm going to ask the audience, the guys, the tribe sitting here, if they have anything they want to add. You said in 2005 when you came in, you just wanted to live, and it's 20 years now. Why are you still in the program?
Why am I still in the program?
I asked you first.
Number one, I continue to grow. If I'm not growing in this program, if I'm still not learning, then yeah, I'm probably wasting my time. Okay. But I continue to grow every day. Right. I continue to remind myself I'm still an alcoholic. I can go out there and I can get, the easiest way is I can get refunded back all of my misery.
Yeah.
At the drop of a hat. Okay. It takes nothing to give me back the misery that I had.
And if I were to ask you, what is your, I almost went down a joke route, but not ready for that. What is your purpose today, Chris? 2005, you didn't have a purpose. You just wanted to live. What is your purpose today? It doesn't have to be a short sentence. It can be longer. It can be a few things. It's what comes to your mind.
To be a sober, respectable citizen that hopefully is there to help people, not be completely selfish or what can I get out of it or things like that. It's the and to show that sobriety works. It works wholeheartedly, and through sobriety, I've lost money tons of times by doing service work and other things that I could have charged people to do some of these things. And it came back tenfold, and I wasn't looking for that. All right. I got the bonuses, and I wasn't looking for it. That's what was so startling about it, even to today, which I'm blessed to be here with that.
Good answer. All right, guys, we got Ralph, Pat, Sloan, and Dwight here. All guys that you've heard before on the show, folks. You guys, anything you want to say to Chris, or say something about the show, or something popped out to you? You definitely have to talk into the mic.
Once everybody's staring at me.
Because you're the most handsome guy here.
Oh, man. Hello, I'm Ralph. I moved to Sherwood in 2001 or 2, and finally quit going to Benton, go to meetings, and started going to a meeting here in Sherwood. And started meeting some people in the area that didn't know what they were doing. But anyway, and I met Chris. And there was, like I said earlier, there was 5 or 6 of them hung around. And, they were just having fun, enjoying early sobriety and on that pink cloud and just hanging out and getting together. Got a little carried away a few times here and there and stuff like that. But Chris, that's just the miracle of the program, to see people come in here and their lives change. Chris was, I think 7 years sober when he got divorced the first time. He just threw himself in the program more and more, and did more and more things. Then he'd get resentful because I'm doing everything. Well, that's your opinion. Things like that. Then that's just how we grow. That's how we grow. And to see him grow and then get married again and have a child, that was pretty impressive. I could go on for about an hour or longer about the things that have changed in Chris' life since I've known him. And, that's why we do this thing. That's why he keeps coming back. That's why that love and tolerance. Even when somebody makes us mad sometime, we still keep coming back. We still love them. We still want them to be part of our lives. I wasn't like that before, and I learned a lot from Chris and all the people in the Ruins of Alcoholics Anonymous. Chris is an amazing man. No, by all normal practical purposes, he probably shouldn't be alive today, but by God's purpose, he is alive today, and I'm very grateful. And he's been a valuable part of my sobriety in my life. I think I better shut up.
Thanks, Ralph.
I can say, Chris, I've looked up to you since I got in here, and you've been an important part of my sobriety too. And you get in here and you see certain people doing certain things, doing the service work, going to the meetings and doing that kind of stuff. And you were one of those guys. And I thought, he's got something I want. And so that's, one small part of why I stayed in here was guys like you. So that's awesome. That's what we do.
Thanks, Lou. Like I said, when I first came in here, you were two of the first guys that I met. And that meant a lot to me because, I was on a whirlwind. Wasn't in a good place, obviously. And you guys were at all the meetings, and then I remember you said that you were going to have a child and just, I really didn't know you that well, but just looking at the conversations between a lot of the guys, and Bob rings a bell, the other Bob. And in fact, I think he's getting his 20-year coin tomorrow. And just, seeing the joy, with guys that have been around a while, good things are happening to them. The reason that was important to me, and the same thing I would say to anybody listening, if we keep coming around long enough, we can feel joy vicariously through somebody else. And it becomes, like they say, contagious enthusiasm. And that's one of the reasons that I like this tribe so much is because of we're an optimistic group. We're not a glum lot, like Ralph, you've said quite a bit, and it's stuck in my head, just like making my bed every morning. I need that in my life. I need guys like you, Chris, that you're always looking at the shiny side. And God, the stuff that's happened to you, if anybody's got a reason to, have an upside down smile, man, dude, you would be one of them. But, you blow past it and you're constantly engaged in doing stuff. And when I call you, answer the phone and vice versa, because I enjoy my conversations with good men, that, I asked you these questions. I already kind of knew what the answers were going to be because you're living the program. You're doing service work for people because you're giving to them what was given to you. And I can see it. So you get the last word here, Chris. And at this point, we got a studio audience out there. We have an audience out there of folks that we may never meet. We have no idea what's going to happen. I get feedback, and I'm blessed to get that feedback. I've got one today that I got from Sloan's show, brother, saying that you were inspiring. So when you're about to speak, I want you to just say what you want to say. What's on your heart? People that are hurting. They're trying to get their act together. And then other people that are already on their journey and they're just listening to the show for, because, we're the closest to the cool kids that are going to get. Whatever. So free flow, man, just top of the dome. What's on your heart?
Well, number one, my name's Chris and I am an alcoholic. Number two, don't ever give up. You can be kicked down. You can be down in the curb. You can be where you feel below the curb. When you actually give up, that's when you die. All right. I can understand giving up alcohol, giving up cigarettes, giving up things like that. But when you give up on life, that's when it's all over. You got to think of those positive things every day, and I'm going to have to quote one of my sponsees. He said, wow, that only happened to you 2 days out of 365. That's less than 1%. All right. And he was telling me about how I'd only had 2 strokes out of the past year. And that was less than 1%. And that I should be chuckling and being happy that it was just less than 1%. And so that's my positive thing to say at the end there.
All right. Well, that's a wrap for today's show. Ralph, Pat, Sloan, Dwight, as always, thanks for coming. Chris, you're invited to come anytime we do, somebody's experienced Strength and Hope. We do tribe nights. There's some forthcoming opportunities. You're on the thread, so we'll include you on that. Well, you're already included. We'll just let you know when the shows are, and if you can make it, just give a shout out so I can make sure I got enough chairs here so to accommodate everybody. And so, folks, what say you on today's topic? Leave your thoughts and comments on shoutoutfromthepit.com. And remember, it wouldn't be me if I didn't say this. If you want to feel good about yourself, go out and do something for someone else. And finally, as always, you're not alone. If no one's told you that they love you today,
We love you.
we love you,
Love
man.
you.
So God bless you. Have an outstanding American day. This is Bob the Old Rucker. Peace out.